Just walks around Philadelphia for 30 fucking minutes of this movie. He starts singing with
You
some
say
random
it like a complaint. You say it like a complaint. I loved it. I thought the cinematography.
I
Finally
watched.
I finally
Watched. I
finally
watched. I
finally
watched.
finally
Watched.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of I Finally Watched. I'm Milan.
And this is David, and it pains me to say, but I finally watched Rocky.
And I also finally watched Rocky.
I thought you had seen Rocky.
No.
Oh, wow. Oh, we're both losers then.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially man, the references in pop culture and how the theme song has showed up in so many just random things. I was watching the Gilmore Girls yesterday, and
You always are.
I always am. And they were playing the Rocky theme song. And then I think there was an Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the staircase. I mean, this takes place in Philly too, right? But the references to jogging up the staircase and making it up there, which I think is built up so much that watching it actually is oh, okay. Because it's not like he failed the first time he did it. He got up there, but he was tired. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting exactly, but I really liked it. It hit a bunch of notes for me that I did not expect it to hit. Stallone's, you watch Stallone now and you're like, oh, it's Stallone. But the emotions and the subtlety that he brings into the Rocky character, very cool, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I think one thing that was surprising to me. So this was the first. I mean, this won Best Picture, which I find to be crazy. It's. I'm not saying it's unworthy, but I do think in a year of Taxi Driver, I find it crazy, right?
Okay,
but it is.
Yeah.
But it is a great movie, and I the first 30 minutes was so this guy just walks around Philadelphia all day. That's all he does. He just walks around Philly with nothing to do.
Well, I assume he's going to and from either matches or training.
Or going to pretend to break people's fingers, right?
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So he does that, and then I was like, this movie is so odd. And I mean, it does have the 1970s feel of movies were slower and more deliberate. But then it does really pick up, and it makes you appreciate the beginning too. Going through life as a kid, seeing the pop culture references to this movie, I think I've seen so many clips from Rocky, but not this one, right? So from this one, you have him running up the stairs, and you have him screaming Adrian at the end and her screaming Rocky, right? Those are the two things that I had seen multiple times going into this.
Yeah.
Everything else you've seen, with, Clubber Lang, Mr. T, and Drago, all that stuff is from the other movies, right? And so it's interesting, in popular culture, I think 2, 3, and 4 are sort of bigger now, even though this was the first one and it won Best Picture and it was the highest grossing movie of that year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe apart from 2, it's probably the most capable, the best movie on a technical level. I've heard 2 is some people like 2 better, and I can kind of see why, the way that this one kind of leaves you kind of how Batman Begin leaves you. So it leaves you wanting more, and then you get the Dark Knight, right? Rocky 2 is the Dark Knight of the Rocky series. So a couple of things that kind of wanted me to have us do this this time of year. Christmas Day, by the way, David, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Day when this is released. So the one thing is I saw this quick dissection on YouTube about couple scenes in this movie, and one of them being he keeps going back to the pet shop and for Adrian, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that part about Rocky. I didn't know there was this this love story, kind of this like psychological, thinker about, this guy's loneliness, this woman's loneliness in a pet store. I was like, that's interesting. I kind of want to, explore that. And then just a passing comment on Twitter was something along the lines of Creed is the best Rocky movie out there, bar none. And I've seen Creed and I really like Creed. But then I was like, I gotta watch Rocky now. I gotta have a compare and contrast. I want to see where it all started. So yeah, those are the two things that kind of made me be like, we gotta do this for Christmas, but not really a Christmas movie.
So, one thing I read, and I don't know if this is domestic or international. I assume it's domestic. Rocky was the highest grossing movie of this year,
Crazy.
which is funny. I'm looking at a Wikipedia article that ends in 1977, which is not fucking helpful at all. It was when Star Wars won.
What's also funny is that it was probably marketed heavily as a sports boxing movie, and it barely has any of that in this.
Yeah, which we'll talk about. But do you know the last movie to be the highest grossing movie and win Best Picture? Do you know what that is? The most recent
Ooh.
example.
Oh, a most recent example. And win Best Picture, not just nominated.
Win. Yeah, because The Dark Knight was nominated, which I'm pretty sure that, yeah, Dark Knight was nominated.
Right.
Avatar was nominated. So, yeah.
Man, I'm thinking, I don't know why, but I'm thinking it has to be like an early 2000s movie.
I'll give you a hint. It's 2003.
Oh, I was right. Okay. Oh, 2003. What the fuck won Best Picture in 2003? Titanic?
That was 97, and that is
Oh.
an example of the Best Picture winner winning. I'm just going to tell you because you just guessing is taking too long. So it's 2003. It's Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
Oh, yes. Duh. Okay, of course. I forget that 2000 was like crazy time, and they were like, yeah, big franchise, we'll just give it Best Picture.
But this is like it's funny that it's happened like it twice in that like 10-year period, but it's actually a very uncommon occurrence for the highest gross. And like now,
Yeah.
impossible, right?
No,
Because
absolutely impossible.
although I think so, I'm looking right now. So Kramer versus Kramer did it, only making 100 million. So that's like, yeah, I couldn't find any. So in the like since Rocky, I think there's 4 examples from what I'm looking, unless I missed something.
Well, it's kind of crazy if you think about it, because you could, like, I think the highest.
No, 5 because Forrest Gump.
So Forrest Gump. Oh, by the way, I just want to clarify. I did not think that Titanic came out in 2003. I was just throwing rocks. I'm not an idiot. So
Didn't that just come out in 4K? Like it's a new one, right?
Yeah, Titanic, is that a true story? No, but the way you have it now is like you have In-Game being the highest grossing movie, you have Avatar, you have, all these things, and it's like no way in holy hell would either of those ever win Best Picture. But then you have something like Green Book, Moonlight, La La Land. I know it didn't win, but it was nominated. You have those movies, and they're great movies, but there's no way that they would ever end up being the highest grossing movies.
Yeah, well, now definitely not, because of so like the highest grossing movie will a lot of times be nominated now, right? Like if it's if it's a superhero movie that is actually pretty decent, like Endgame and Infinity War, I think
Black
were both
Panther.
nominated. The Avatar movies both got nominated.
Shouldn't have.
Black Panther, things like that. But yeah, I don't think it would kind of be shocking. You know what could happen next year though? Dune 2 is a possibility.
Yeah, but Dune 2, I feel like it's kind of, man, Arrival. Like, it has that high impact, but it's almost kind of artsy. It's like an artsy blockbuster.
I mean, that's what Denis does. I think Nolan before him and still does that, right?
Like Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Yeah. So Barbie's the highest grossing movie this year. I think it's pretty much a lock that it'll be nominated, and I think it probably has like no chance of winning because I think it's either Killers of the Flower Moon or Oppenheimer,
It's got to be
or
one of those two.
something might come in at the last second and start winning stuff. But
I hear Past Lives and Zone of Interest. It's good.
yeah, well, so this is starting the run up of like I need to start watching. We were supposed to record this last night, and I was going to start watching a movie, and then I just sat on my phone for 3 hours instead of watching a movie. But I need to start
If it
watching
makes you feel better,
movies.
I fell immediately asleep.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's get back to it. So I think we can just get started. We have a I keep doing this where I said I think we get started and then we don't get started. But one last thing before we get started, this movie, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, it's about to hit this trope. It's about to hit this trope,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really hit any of them.
No.
Like it doesn't really establish a rivalry between these two. It's all like you said, the boxing is kind of like not really important to the movie almost. And so there's a lot of times where you think like, oh, this is going to happen. You try and predict it. And it's interesting that this movie, because it kind of almost, it's not the first boxing movie, right? But it is like, it's the first sports movie to win Best Picture. It is kind of like a precursor to a lot of sports movies. And
I'm surprised Raging Bull isn't in that. Or did that come after?
it came like, I think in 80 or 81, 82 in that range. Yeah.
Okay.
But just like, I don't know, just the fact that it avoided all the tropes, even though like it's kind of a precursor of all those, you would think this is where the tropes started, but no, like there's a lot of decisions in this that are pretty well done. And it's interesting too, because Sylvester Stallone wrote this. This was his baby, and there's a lot of like backstory about like him being completely poor, and like he could have sold the script to have someone else
selling his dog. I think
he had to sell his dog and buy it back. And
is that the dog in the movie?
Yeah, that's the dog in the movie. He bought it back like right after he got the first check for the movie.
I heard he sold it for like $25 just so he could like fucking eat, or he was gonna die, and then he had to buy it back for like $15,000.
Well, I think part of what I read is part of the reason he sold it is because he actually couldn't afford to feed the dog too. So it was like sort of like being nice to the dog as well.
Yeah. I didn't assume he was selling the dog for it to be like end up in the meter or anything.
Well, so one of the last things I read about this, and we don't have to keep going into like the making of it, but they went to, I forget who they went to, Paramount or whatever, to sell the movie, Warner Brothers, who cares? And they were going to get a $2 million budget, but they didn't want Stallone. And Stallone's like, no, I have to be in it. So they gave them a $1 million budget, and they told the producers for every dollar it went over, they had to pay it. And so the producers, it ended up costing 1.1 million, and the producers had to mortgage their houses to pay off the difference. But then it went on to be the highest grossing movie. It spawned 4, 5, 6, 8 sequels.
8 sequels.
And we're probably not done after Creed. No, because Creed 4 is coming, so that's gonna be the 9th.
Oh my god, yeah. But the rights are like the ownership rights are completely out of Stallone's hands now, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, probably. And there's also that Stallone Robert De Niro boxing movie, Grudge Match, which also like probably only exists because of Rocky. So like,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
There's a movie called Grudge Match where Stallone boxes Robert De Niro.
Jesus. Well, we both know they can box. When was this made?
That one was like mid 2000s.
Oh, so they're old.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's actually even after Rocky Balboa. So it's like mid 2000s or late.
Do they reprise the same characters that they were in Raging Bull and Rocky? It's just
I don't know. So 2013.
Have you ever seen Raging Bull?
I have. It's one that I need to rewatch. It's like, first of all, it's a very rough movie.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
It's definitely not like top Scorsese for me. Some people it is. I told you and some other people that I was going to go on this like journey to watch all of Scorsese's movies just in a row, like chronologically.
Yeah.
But then his IMDb is so like it has a bunch of things that are unavailable, and me being like a completionist, like just kind of fried my brain and I kind of gave up. So I need to start that back.
Is
Um,
Raging Bull one of those unavailable ones?
no, he did like
Oh.
it includes this first movie that like is like a student film that is unavailable to watch, and then it's got
Mm.
something on there that he did for like the New York Travel Bureau, like a short film. I was like, I'm gonna watch the short films too, but it I got to get back to it. But now I got to watch the Oscar movies and like all the year end stuff. I got to watch Barbie.
A
I just
journey of 1,000 miles simply starts with a single step,
I
David.
basically got to stop buying movies and start watching them. Let's get to
I
the
feel that.
beginning. This starts off with a fight between our boy Rocky and a guy named Spider Rico, who headbutts Rocky. Rocky gets so angry that he punches him to the ground and keeps punching him as if it's an MMA fight.
I love the reveal that when they end up in the locker rooms, he's just there and they're like, hey.
It's almost like professional wrestling. Like it's not real. Like, and then he makes $65 minus expenses for winning, so it's like $45. The other guy makes what, $17 for getting beaten to the ground.
Yeah.
It just like shows you how like rough a life this is. Um,
I love everything that this movie sets up, because not only is it like showing you get the shit beat out of you and you make like below minimum wage, right? Because if you factor in all the hours you spend in training and then the fight, you make nothing, right? Nothing. And so, but they set all this up where he's been doing this. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the movie, you have $150,000 on the line, and the contrast of that, it's so, I don't know how to explain it. So great.
150,000. What is that in rupees? Do you know? Did you do the
In
conversion?
rupees, yeah, it's 2 million, I think.
So after this, man, he just walks around Philadelphia for 30 fucking minutes of this movie. He starts singing with
You
some
say
random
it like a complaint. You say it like a complaint. I loved it. I thought the cinematography was very cool. I thought it was like, it wasn't doing anything extraordinary. That's the one thing I noticed too. The cinematography was very like capable, but it wasn't doing anything groundbreaking. But
there
it
was a
was
couple shots. The thing where he goes to talk to Mick and it's sort of in the very background of the shot, like way far off, and we just see him shake his hand. I thought that was cool.
I thought when he goes to talk to Apollo's, who is that? Apollo's lawyer or his handler?
No, there's just the fight promoter.
Okay. When he goes to talk to the fight promoter, you have the camera all the way at the bottom of like Stallone's thigh, looking up at Stallone, and you have like that thing that they used to do where like both the character in the foreground and background are in focus. That I'm like, okay, that's something. That's like a kind of a cool cinematography thing. But other than that, it's just very capable. It's just like it's getting the shots it needs to get, and I thought that was cool.
This is one of the first movies to use a Steadicam.
Oh, that's cool to know.
One cool story is the guy who invented the Steadicam was from Philadelphia.
John Steady.
Yeah, that's right. No, Steadicam. It's I think
It's French.
Steadicam. It's German. Com.
Okay.
But anyway, in order to promote, like to get some footage for his new invention, he filmed his sister running up the steps.
Of Philadelphia.
And then the director saw that and was like, "That'd be a cool shot for the movie," and then hired the guy, I think, to be the cinematographer. I'm not exactly sure on that part. When he's going around singing with the random guys and drinking with them, I think the main singer is his brother, which is also, he just like got to get everyone in on this movie. And then the next important scene is where he goes to hit on Adrian. I did not know that this was like a love story more than a boxing movie, that they weren't together.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, that film dissection on YouTube that I watched, I was like, it surprised me so much that I'm like, I was never interested in watching Rocky before, but now I was like, I gotta watch this fucking movie. I'm like, the turtles, dude. Like the turtles are everything.
Yeah. So this movie also, Talia Shire, who is from Godfather 2 as well.
Yeah.
They do the like put on glasses, put her hair up thing to make her not look attractive.
Yeah. And then they do the thing, take off your glasses and put your hair down, and then all of a sudden you are attractive.
But it worked though, because it's like, oh damn, she is hot.
Dude, when she shows back up in that red coat and that red hat, I was like, oh, I see what he sees in her now. Like, I get it.
Yeah, I also love Polly calling her the loser when it's like Polly's a drunk.
Dude, that's one of the most surprising like turns of this movie is like Adrian's growth is first of all, Stallone with like the fedora, like all coming in at her, like, hey,
Hmm.
yo, and I was
He's
like,
working on the moth line the night before.
see, that's cute. That's like some cute stuff. But I'm saying when he has her cornered in his apartment, I was like, that's some problematic shit.
No, it's
Um,
yeah, it's not good.
no, but what I was getting at is Adrian's growth throughout the film. Well, she likes it, so it's okay. But Adrian's growth throughout the film is like she's always deemed like loser. I think they use retarded in the film a couple of times. Like she's slow or autistic. They don't use that because that
Which is not
wasn't.
true. Which is funny. Is not true, right? Because there's the
It's not true
scene.
at all.
She's actually apparently super smart. We don't like she's the one that tells us that, but she's like, no, because his
Yeah.
Rocky says his dad told him you're all body, no brain, and she's like, oh, I'm the exact opposite. My mom said I'm all brain and I don't have a body. It's like I'm sure there's a body down
She
there.
was wrong. She was wrong. Hey, but the the line or the scene in the middle of the movie where she stands up to her brother and is this moment where her brother's like, I'm always the one like digging you out of holes, like you wouldn't be anything without me, and she's like, no dude, you are the loser, you wouldn't be anything without me, I've been keeping all this together. If And she's right, and then she leaves with Rocky and she's fine. I mean, I guess she's not alone, mixed alone, but yeah, it's like that turn of character for her is so awesome. That was like probably my favorite part of the movie.
So since we're on that part now, so Burt Young, who plays Paulie, comes in drunk. He tells this story where he does the scene, and apparently just a drunk wandered onto set and was like, the scene where he's walking drunk in front of his house, and
Oh yeah.
the drunk guy's like, like you're totally an unbelievable drunk. And he's like, well, how would you do it? And the guy mimes what he should do, and then Paulie does it, and like that's what made it in. I also this entire movie. I was like,
I thought you were going to tell me that was just the drunk guy, and we were supposed to think it's Polly.
CGI. But the whole movie I was like, what do I know this guy from? And I was like, obviously I know him from Rocky, right? Even like clips, I've seen him. And the whole time I was like, isn't he like going to be in his corner? Which is probably, eventually we're going to go through at least 2, 3, and 4, I would imagine.
Well, of course, I imagine us doing that too. Also, I just want to mention the reason that we're doing this on Christmas Day is because I was sold on this, that this was like Die Hard or Gremlins, like a Christmas movie, but not a Christmas movie, right?
Right.
But
It's more of a Thanksgiving movie.
it is, and I was like, I guess because Thanksgiving is at the beginning of this movie, and then you assume that months go by for training and whatnot. So by the time the fight happens, it is like Christmas or Christmas time.
Don't they fight on New Year's Day or is it New Year's Eve? Because I thought that's what it was, and he's like, it's the most American of holidays. And actually, yeah, that timeline makes sense because
Yeah.
it's either that or it's like Christmas Day or whatever. Because he's like,
Well,
it's the
anyway,
most
something
American
happens.
of holidays.
Something happens around Christmas time in this movie. But it's not like a huge majority of like the themes of Christmas happen in this movie, right?
It's enough of a holiday movie that it works fine.
I feel like it's a holiday movie, but it's not I wasn't sold on it being a Christmas movie like Die Hard,
So anyway, I was like, where do I know Burt Young from? Because I've seen all the clips of him being in these movies. And once again, I was like, I thought he was Rocky's like cornerman or something.
I thought it was too. It was the guy from the gym though. Ended up being.
No, I know he is. You have multiple guys. But I then went through his IMDb, and he also was in Mickey Blue Eyes with that other Italian guy from The Firm. So like that's a very formative. That keeps being a formative movie for me that eventually we're gonna have to do. So the other thing that the opening of this movie is we meet Paulie, but we also meet Gazzo. And Gazzo is a completely useless character in this movie.
I am so surprised that he or the guy who drives him around doesn't come back as like a bigger antagonist by the end of this movie. Like when he gave Rocky the $500, Yeah, I was like, oh, he's coming. He's in his pocket now. He's
He's gonna expect interest.
yeah, or something, right? Or he's gonna come after Adrian because there's even like a threatening line where he's like, "So tell Adrian hi for me." He's like, "How do you know her name?" He's like, "I know things," and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna fucking kidnap her or something." Like, yeah,
Yeah, well, I didn't think it was going to turn into Taken, but I expected something, but instead he shows up to the final fight. He's like, "Go, Rocky!"
I thought that there was gonna be a fight between or something more, you know, upscale between him and the driver because him and the driver are always having like an antagonistical conversation argument thing, right? And no, nothing comes out of that.
I did read that in like an earlier draft of the script that Gatso was actually supposed to be like a brother to him, like a relation, which actually makes their relationship make more sense. It still has the tinges of like that, version of the script, right? That they're like related more than anything.
Yeah, because if he's like a big old mean mob boss like he's supposed to be, and the guy didn't break his finger, and the guy gives him $500 or whatever, you think that he would have even a bigger guy to go after Rocky to break his finger or something like that.
Well, and so you have that first scene where he goes to the guy and is like, "Hey, you owe $200," and he's like, "Give me something." He gives him 130, and he's like, "I'm supposed to break your thumbs." He's like, just we'll pretend. And Rocky just walks away, and it's like he's not good at this debt collecting thing, like because the guy offers, "I'll pretend they're broken," and he's just like, "Nah, you don't have to worry about it." And then he gets yelled at by his boss, like, "Hey, why are you not breaking fingers like I told you to?"
Yeah. But you know what it does do? It establishes him as a nice guy.
It does, yeah. I mean, one thing I was going to say earlier is I think the rep of Stallone is pretty interesting now, as like most people just kind of consider him like very dumb, right? And he plays very dumb in this movie, and it's almost like just feels like really bad acting because you're
No, I didn't.
hold
I mean,
on.
I see what you're saying.
Let me get to my point, damn it.
Okay.
But like having years and years of Stallone now, it's like not that he's like the greatest, but he definitely was playing a purposeful character here. I just think when this is like the first thing you see him and you're like, all right, is this guy good or is this just did they just find a guy like
Oh, big dumb
on
Big
a
dumb.
short bus? Like how did they get this character
I
filled?
mean, when you find out that the guy wrote it, it kind of puts you in a different perspective of him, you know?
I heard that's the point I was going to make. I heard a funny story where Apollo Creed, so Carl Weathers was boxing with him to get the part, and he sort of hits Rocky and hits Stallone, and Stallone's like, "Hey, can you take it easy? This is just an audition." And Carl Weathers is like, "Well, when I'm doing it with the real actor, it'll probably go better." And he's like, "Yo, I am the real actor." And without missing a beat, Carl Weathers is like, "Oh, well, maybe you'll get better." And so that's how he got the job, because he's like, "Oh, I like that attitude because this is who you're supposed to be playing." But I think that's just like the view of
That's another thing I didn't expect in the movie is how much Apollo isn't really like a active antagonist.
Yeah, no, they don't even meet barely.
Yeah,
they don't even know each other.
Yeah. It surprised me so much too, because you have Paulie kind of being more of an antagonist to Stallone. You have the mob boss, but he doesn't really show up or anything. And then you know who's the real like enemy of Stallone? Stallone himself. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have any enemies. It just, I mean, he's kind of his biggest antagonist. And they don't even play into this that much. Is Mick?
Yeah, but he even that scene with him, he's like comes into his apartment and he's trying to get him as his manager, and then he's like, "No, I don't need you because you weren't in my corner when I needed you." And you're like the locker line is great because earlier in the movie
Where's my locker?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, like he takes his locker away, and then he later on he's like, "I'll be your manager." He's like, "Oh, a manager needs something more." It's like a locker, and he's like, "Oh," he takes it away, and he walks out of the apartment. He goes down like a whole block, and then you have Rocky like chasing after him. Yeah, it's so good.
So after this, we get a lot of just kind of different scenes here and there, right? So the first scene where we meet Mickey, it's where he's giving away his locker to this other guy. He gives away this locker to this guy Dipper, right? And you're like, oh, him and Dipper are gonna now have to fight because Dipper even makes a comment
Right.
to him like, "I like your locker." Well, apparently that was supposed to be a scene they didn't film because money and other reasons, right? So then Paulie invites Rocky to meet Adrian for Thanksgiving, like to come over. And like there's this whole scene in the freezer, and you're like, oh well, the freezer's gonna come back into play, which it is, but the way they do it is like, oh, that's just all you're doing with it. Like he gets interviewed by the news, and he's like, yeah, I invented this, and like it's like Paulie trying to make a buck off of him the whole time, which I think we should talk more about, like their relationship.
What's funny about that too is that is going to be someone's most tender piece of meat in the world.
Yeah, I was like, is that? I mean, it's frozen, so it's probably like once you cook it, it'll be fine. But it's like I don't want his fucking hands just all over that. He apparently punched that meat so much that he flattened out his knuckles to where his hand is just like there's no indentation; it's just a flat surface from punching the meat so much in this movie.
Jesus.
So the next thing I want to talk about is where he finds that little girl who's related to somebody he knows.
I didn't know. I was like, oh, that's going to come up later. Nope.
We never see her again, and basically just says, "Hey."
We do see her again. She's still like smoking and hanging out with the boys.
So
like
that scene was so short, I couldn't even see if she was still there or not. Like it cuts to it and cuts away. I was like, I'm not going back. I don't care that much. Yeah. But he basically, and I think this is a scene that like doesn't age well. But honestly, like I stand by Rocky's advice here, where he's
I do too. I agree with you. I agree with you.
It's not right. But if you're sitting there with all these boys cussing, you're gonna gain a reputation that is undeserved.
Yep, exactly.
And then he walks her home, and she's like, "Fuck off, creep." And he's like, how am I the creep? Like, I'm helping you out. And then that scene, you're right. I think what it does in a very kind of subtle way, it just kind of establishes like the sad sack nature of Rocky, that like
exactly
no one listens to him.
No one likes him that much.
He doesn't feel like he kind of has any value in society almost, really. He can't box. He people don't respect him. Right. And so it's when he's going up later against Apollo, he's like, I can't beat this guy. Like,
no, exactly. That's like at the end where he's discouraged and he like pours into Adrian. He's like, I'm not doing this. But what I think some people might mistake in the scene for is like, oh, he tries to help everyone. He's like a very helpful guy.
Yeah.
And I guess like maybe a little bit, but really it's what you said. It's the he's nobody in this society. He's nobody in this world. And this is not like a high society. This is a pretty low bar to fill, but he's not even a significance in this. So it really hollows him out as like a loser. I think even who said it? Was it? I'm trying to think. Oh, it was the mob boss who was like, you've never had much luck. And so this is like your only chance of like doing anything with your life, here's $500. But he was right. Somehow him being like a brother or like a cousin to him makes way more sense than just this like mob guy.
So we meet Apollo Creed. His opponent has broken his hand. He can't find a contender. No one wants to fight him on such short notice. And he's like, we need a novelty, an underdog. And there's a scene later where he just picks Rocky's name out of a book that exists, like a boxing guide that apparently has a dude who just lives in Philadelphia that fights for $60. His name is in this list.
He's a southpaw. You can't do it with a southpaw. It's like, I don't give a damn if it's a southpaw.
Is that your Apollo Creed?
That's my best Carl Weathers.
Okay, so anyway, I like thought there were going to be much more machinations to this movie of like how Apollo gets this fight, like some like just really out there explanation. It's just like, no, Apollo liked his nickname Italian Stallion. He's like, that's it.
I think it kind of works too. And what this movie is, if it's not anything, is a work of convenience. It's all these things that they do on a shoestring budget that still work very well towards the story. Because Apollo Creed, if he's anything, He's flamboyant. He's showy. He's very like not about
He's the antithesis of Rocky.
yeah, exactly, but in a way that it's not detrimental to like Rocky's personal life or anything like that. It's just his personality. Um,
You know what's funny too is the movie does not. It's sort of something you can recognize, but the movie doesn't throw it in your face like these are exact opposites, because it's like Apollo is naturally gifted, but doesn't really take the boxing that serious anymore, which I think
Right.
probably comes up in Rocky too. Um, he's more into the promotion and like the the making as much money as he can. He's probably going to run for Congress at some point, whereas Rocky is like doesn't have the natural gifts, and so he would not be able to beat Apollo but for he works his ass off for 5 weeks and gets a manager and a trainer, all of that.
Except what's really great too is that when he first starts his training, because I think he's like smoking or drinking, and someone is like, no, you can't be doing that if you're training. Like everyone's in his corner all of a sudden, right? Like all his distant friends are suddenly like, hey, you got to take better care of your body if you want to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he starts training, and you have the scene where he runs up the steps and he's exhausted, he's beat. And I think for me, I took it like he's realizing that yeah, he's a good boxer, but he's out of shape. Like
Completely.
he's been taking this like the easy road, and he's like, oh shit, I gotta really fucking take this seriously if I even have half a chance with this guy. And then you get the really epic montage.
So the next scene is where he goes to Polly and he's going to go over to, it's Thanksgiving night. And Paulie once again asks for a job with Gotzo. He's like, I need a new job. My hands are, they're messed up from this. The whole way over there, he's like, your sister knows I'm coming, right? Yeah, yeah. She's excited. She's excited for you to take, you to take her out. And then she gets there. He gets there and she's just had no idea. And she even says like, why didn't you tell me? And Rocky is just like, what the fuck? And
Everyone's pissed at Paulie at this point.
I love when he's like, yo, Adrian, I don't know what to say. I've never talked to a door before. And apparently when Paulie throws the turkey out the door to be like, we're not having turkey and get going. This movie was on such a shoestring budget. There's a dude out there catching the turkey each time because they had to keep reusing it. Like they couldn't like.
But he doesn't even show him throwing him out the door.
Well, no, he throws it and just has the leg left. He kind of like tosses it and like the leg breaks off is what I think you're supposed to assume.
It's supposed to assume, but you don't see it. Like what I'm saying though is
you're on this real kick right now of like if a movie doesn't show something, you like can't make any assumptions.
Yeah. Well, I know because he comes in.
Rocky didn't go to the bathroom this entire fucking movie. Like that dude probably really needs to pee. It's been 4 months.
I watched a very interesting video on the lack of bathroom usage in movies, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay, no, we won't.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying, he comes in with the turkey, you see the full turkey, he leaves, assumingly throws it out, and then he comes back with just the leg, which I think is hilarious. That he's still like munching on the leg. Also, what a fucking asshole thing to do. She spends all day cooking this turkey, and then you just
You know what? It's kind of a form over function thing, though, right? Meaning, like, yeah, he's not the most suavest at making this happen, but I mean, spoiler: these two get married and like live together after this. Like he did a good thing getting them together. Although I don't know if they're still together in 5. I'm not sure about that, so I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a
5's apparently terrible.
Yeah, really? Maybe it's like a Indiana Jones 5 sort of situation.
I don't know what that means because I haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen Dial of Destiny?
I've only seen 4 and 1 of Indiana Jones in that order.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, we can do them. So the ice skating scene is next. Apparently there was supposed to be like 300 extras, but this movie couldn't afford 300 extras. So they show up and Stallone's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And he says that he just rewrote the scene on the spot. I don't know who I give credit to. It doesn't really matter. It's one of the best scenes in the movie, them ice skating one-on-one.
It is one of the best scenes in the movie. And I like to think that haggling he did with the guy in the movie
that's just the guy that works there.
It's just the guy that works there. He's just really trying to get it. Yeah.
He needed $10. And I also love the countdown too of like, hey, you got 7 minutes. He's like, I'm not giving you an extra second. You need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then he takes her home and like he's like, when you come in, and she's like, I don't think I should. He's like, come on, I got a face you can trust. And then he does not have a face you can trust. He is
No.
super creepy in this scene, which is like just a product of the 70s.
You do learn something really important about this date is that he's never broken his nose in a fight.
Yeah.
And he's really proud of the fact that he's never broken his nose in a fight.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. But as soon as he said it, I was like, oh, he's gonna break his nose in the fight. Of course.
But the whole time she's like, I don't feel comfortable. And he's like,
she looks
I don't
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Dude, did you notice that standing mattress in the room next to her, like right next to her, has a huge fucking like 15-inch knife sticking out of it?
I think that was what he used to like put his like hat on or whatever.
Yeah. That's intimidating.
He's like, I want to kiss you. You don't have to kiss me back. And I was like, how thoughtful of you that like she doesn't have to reciprocate, but she has to accept this kiss.
Yeah, this is bad.
And then she kisses him back. So that's fine. And so then the next day he goes to the gym and Mick's looking for him, and he's like, hey, Apollo wants.
I wonder if Rocky is the type of movie that like. You know how people say like, oh, if you're a teenager and you watch Fight Club, and if you misunderstand it, you turn out to be like this type of guy. I wonder if like back in the 70s and 80s, people watch Rocky and there's like, oh, if you misunderstand it, you become this type of guy.
That's why Philadelphia is the way it is. So they all just misunderstood it.
Damn.
I was gonna go harder than that, but
that was pretty hard.
I go for the joke. I was gonna be like, "That's why Philly's a shithole," but I brought it back a little bit.
Good job.
I actually like Philly. I actually have a funny story about Philly. So, my wife has family in Jersey, and we had to go to a wedding, and we could have either flew into Newark or Philly, and like it's the same. I think Newark was actually farther, so we flew into Philly and stayed there for the night, and my wife had to like get her hair done the next day. So I dropped her off and I have like 2 hours and I just did a drive around tour of Philly. So I drove to the Liberty Bell and I could like see it from the street. I could see like a sixth of it through a window. And then I drove to the Rocky Steps. I drove like down the main way where like their city hall is, whatever, which is really cool. But that was my only tour of Philly is via car that I rented. That's it.
Nice.
And then I think I rode through it in a train once. Anyway, so not a shithole.
Oh, I thought you said you had a funny story.
This motherfucker.
Sorry.
So Mick's looking for him. He goes in. Mick's like, "Hey, Apollo needs sparring partners." And then he's like, "Why you never liked me?" And he's like, "Because you could have been a good fighter, but your break legs.
You could have been a contender."
A 2-bit loan shark. I was like, damn, if Gatso hears this, you're going to get broken, Mick. And Stallone really doesn't have anything to say back to that. So it's just like, he's like, yeah, I guess, I mean, you're kind of right. And then he goes to see the promoter. And Rocky's like a dog with his tail between his legs going to see this promoter. He's like, I can do whatever you want. I'll be a good sparring partner. Because he just needs the money so bad. He's like, I'll be a good sparring partner. I won't hit him. I won't take cheap shots. I'll be good. And he's like, I want you to fight him. And he's just like, no, I'm not good enough to fight him. Like it's an interesting character trait in this movie of Rocky, like being very aware of how good he is, how trained he is, that he's like, I can't fucking fight that. Like a lot of fighters have this like belief that they could beat. A lot of dudes who've never fought have this belief that I was like reading Facebook comments and like, you don't know who Draymond Green is, but he's a basketball player. He's like 6'5", over 200 pounds. Like, he can't fight, but he's probably can't fight, although he's punching a lot of people right now. But some dude in the comments was like, I wish I played against him because I would give him something. Everyone's just laughing at this guy. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Have you seen like one of those like parkour, one of those like sword juggling, and in the comment someone's like, my toxic trait is I believe I can do this with no training.
Well, every guy, like most guys' toxic trait is they like just see a random dude like, I could fucking take that guy. It's like, no, you probably couldn't. You probably have never fought.
No, but what's so great about Rocky's character and the fact that I understand like Stallone had to play this, because I know a lot of people probably say this, but it's the way he's written feels like so personal to Stallone. Like this is him like exaggerated maybe. And then you have Stallone's eyes, and the way that he's not saying anything, but he's reacting to everything being said at him, and he's like looking around and he's taking it in different ways. You can feel how out of his element he is in this office. And
Yeah.
like when he walks into the secretary, he's like, "Hey, I'm here to see blah blah blah," and he gives her like the appointment ticket or whatever. And then he's like, "Can I have that back? Like, if this doesn't work out for me, at least I'll have like a souvenir." But it's little details like that that I just felt like that wasn't written. It's like Stallone was just going to ask for it back, and the secretary was like, "Oh, sure." Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's little things like that that you just feel like no one could make you feel that Rocky is so out of his element if it was played by anyone other than Stallone.
So he has this press conference where it comes out he's going to make $150,000 to fight. And you want to say anything? He's like, "I want to say hi to my girlfriend, yo Adrian," and that's it.
Yeah.
But right after this, in a row, you have Paulie coming to him like, "Hey, you're going to need people to help you," and he's like, "Paulie, I don't need you." Gatso coming to him like, "Hey, here's $500," and you think, "Oh, that's going to have strings attached." And then Mick, the next scene, probably one of the best scenes in the movie too. Mick coming to him like, "Hey," and it's like Mick is like fucking hat in hand, literally, figuratively, like, I think you need a manager. I could help you. And he's like, "Where the fuck have you been?" And he's like, "Well, you never asked." And what I think is great about this scene is it's not overwritten. I mean, one of the reasons I think Rocky is like hesitant to take him is like, why would it, like, I'm not gonna win. Why do I need a manager? I'm gonna make $150,000 to get my ass beat. Like, that's it.
Wait, does he still get the money if he gets his ass beat?
Yeah, the 150 was to show. You normally get like more if you win, and I think the reason they told him the 150 because it was like, in what world are you gonna win this? Like, we don't even need to tell you what the winning amount is. But that, like, in a movie that is overwritten, and I mean not overwritten, just like written differently, you would have some big like explanation of why he eventually decides to take Mick on. But eventually it's just like, "Hey, you've been shitty to me for 10
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
But I need you. So this is like of convenience. Yes, I'll accept your help," because like Rocky is not a character that's too proud, thinks too much of himself. He's like, "You're coming to help me late, but whatever, I'll take it." He does give him this speech of like, "It took you 10 years to get here. You had a prime. I've never had a prime. You just are coming to see my face get beat in." But at the end of the day, he's like, "But I'm not gonna cut my nose to spite my face. I'll accept your help because it's gonna be helpful."
The fact that it's shot, like his accepting of Mick is shot in such a wide angle, and then you have him running down the stairs after him at the end of the street, and then talk a little bit, you don't know what they say, and they shake hands at the end of it. It's like, it's one of those moments of filmmaking where you're just like, everything that was said beforehand fills in the gaps of everything now. So it's like, exactly what's going on down there at the end of the street, and you don't need to hear it. But when later on we have like Mick and the other guy in his corner, I'll get to it when we talk about the fight scene. But they build up his relationship with Mick so well in such a short amount of time. I think the guy only shares like maybe 3 scenes with him, not including the fight. But it's so good. You have almost like this father figure that he could never get acceptance from, like his validation from.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you have this guy coming to him being like, "I want to now fill in that role for you." And he's so hurt by like all the years of him being subjugated by his like, lack thereof. And yeah, I mean, fuck, dude, it's great. I love this movie.
So we start the training now, the 4 a.m. wake up call, and I like the way they're just like show you how early it is. The radio station calls some woman, and she's like, "What the fuck is your problem calling me this early? You ever call me again?" And then we see him really struggling to get up the stairs, and there's this sad music. Apparently, the scene of him struggling to get up the stairs was shot right before the scene of him making it up the stairs, like victoriously, like, which obviously makes sense. This movie, a lot of it read was just shot like guerrilla style, like without permits and such. So the scene where he's running through the market and the guy throws him an orange was just a dude who threw him an orange. Like there's like no explanation to these people what was happening. It was just him running. Most
That's
of the running
awesome.
scenes were just shot that way.
That's like this guy sees a camera, like a film camera, running through the market, and he's like, "Oh shit, I want to be in this movie. I don't know what it is or who that is or whatever." He's like, "I bet you if I throw him an orange, I'll make it into the movie," and he does.
Yeah. So he goes to Polly and he's like, "You balling my sister?" He's like, "You talk too much." I love when he's like, too. He's like, do you love her? And he's like, "Well, I got gaps. She's got gaps. Together we filled them." I was like, "I bet you are." Even though later on, Mick's like, don't be filling gaps. It'll weaken your legs.
Women weaken legs, which I've heard of so many times. I was as part of this music video in college, and we used this boxing ring as a set one day. What?
You showed me that video.
Yeah, with my wife in it. Yeah. But I remember the boxing guy kind of being like a Mick character, kind of like being that like old gruff kind of boxing guy. But it was right by our school, so I know a couple of guys who went, and I thought about taking boxing lessons, not to compete, just to like get in shape. But I was like, oh, one of the things is like you can't have sex if you're getting ready for a match. I was like, I don't want that life. That's not for you. Can't even masturbate. You can't do nothing.
And I was like, that's more your speed. I can't jack off.
Can't jack off. Forget it. Yeah, in college. Yeah.
So the next scene is Paulie getting him on the news, hitting the meat. And before when he was getting pissed.
In more ways than one, am I right?
Yeah, he's not training yet.
Yeah.
But, he starts punching the meat when Paulie pissed him off about the sister. And you're like, oh, he's punching that really hard. And then when he's on the news, he's doing it again. And I love the news is like, does anyone else do this? He's like, no, I invented this. But I love when Apollo's coach is watching this. He's like, Paulo, you need to watch this. And he's like, no, man, I'm fine. We're fine. And like, just the setup of like, dude, this guy has like a legitimate, like a puncher's chance, right?
Yeah.
Like he punches really fucking hard. You need to take this seriously. Cause when the fight starts too, I think he says a line of like, you think this is a dance. He thinks this is a fucking fight. He's like, it is a fight. Like you're fighting now. So you got to treat it real. And
but
then
Apollo does so much promotion that he doesn't even do some like formidable training beforehand to get himself like in shape or anything like that. He's just doing all this promotion, all this bravado stuff. So that, dude, when the fight and he walks up on the stage with the top hat and everything, I was just like, this guy is going to get pulverized because he's just not ready for what Rocky's about to bring. He's not smelling what he's cooking. But see, that's a sports reference that I know of. But
wrestling's not a real sport.
Okay. I tried. I was almost there. But anyway, so
professional wrestling, real wrestling is a sport, yes.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy how non-serious Carl Weathers. Also, this is Carl Weathers, dude. Like, I didn't know he was ever that much in shape. Holy shit.
Have you not fucking seen Predator?
Oh, I guess, yeah. I didn't. I think of Carl Weathers as more of like...
He's the meme with the two fucking muscle arms.
Yeah. You're right. He's... What else has Carl Weathers been in that I would not think of him as such like an in-shape guy?
Are you getting him confused with the Reading Rainbow guy?
No, I'm not getting him confused with the Reading Rainbow guy.
Let's get back to it. So... we get the scene we already talked about where Paulie and his sister Adrian get into it, because Paulie comes home and they're sort of talking shit about him, and she kicks his sister out. And she's like, "You can't fucking kick me out. Like I own this house too." I do take Paulie's point. Like, so there is like this back and forth of like him trying to take advantage of Rocky versus him saying like, "Man, you can't even help me out a little bit. I introduced you to what's going to be your wife. I've been a good friend to you. I've been asking you for help to get a better job. And like, you can't help me at all," which eventually Rocky does help him. He's like, you can make money off my name, whatever. And then Adrian's like, "Do you want a roommate?" And she, moves in with him. Yeah. And then right after this, Paulie comes to him with "Can I make money off your name?" And he's like, "If you can do it, do it." And now we get the training montage of him running up the steps. Like I said, it's the most famous part of the movie. There's like 20 minutes left in this movie. And as you said, I was like, oh, I think I called you when we were about to do this. I was like, I had like an hour left in the movie. I was like, oh, I know the last 30 minutes is going to be the fight. The fight starts with like 12 minutes left, and it's like
Yeah.
only like 9 minutes of it is actual like the boxing match.
By the way, I think I'm thinking of like Carl Weathers' roles in like Adam Sandler movies where he's not like too serious, so I don't
Where
think
he's
of
missing
him
a
as
hand.
I don't think of him as a muscly guy, but he
He's
is. He's
still probably jacked.
super
So
jacked.
he goes to the arena, and the promoter's there. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, my pants are wrong." And the promoter's like, "Ah, it doesn't matter." Which is so apparently it was supposed to be done correctly. They
Yeah.
fucked it up. So Stallone had the idea of like, "Oh, I'll just point it out." The same thing happened with the robe when Mick's like, "What's up with your robe?" He's like, "Yeah, they made it a little too big." That's also the robe was made too big. They couldn't afford a new one, so he's like, "I'll just point it out." But
It
it
all
works out.
works towards the character.
Yeah, because the promoter's like, it doesn't matter. Like, basically, you're not going to win. And Rocky's like, well, fuck, I'm not. And he goes in the scene where he goes back to Adrian. He's like, I can't beat this guy. It was also apparently Stallone's idea towards the end of shooting. And it is. It's a very. The movie almost doesn't work without it. Like, you need a
Yes.
scene establishing like him going in this. Like, I can't fucking win. It. Although I will say it is a bit of a I can't win, but if I can just survive. Like he's setting up new goals for himself, but it's a laudable goal to be able to do something that no one's ever done. No one's survived a fight with this guy.
You know, even with just the scene where he walks into the empty ring auditorium thing and the grandiose of it, because he's not used to kind of all the glitz and glam of fighting. He's like the underground boxing guy, right? Just that alone, he could just feel the immense pressure he has on himself. And he's like, I can't do this. But with the added thing that they couldn't even get his poster right, and the guy's like, it doesn't matter, that just adds more to like, I'm a nobody if I don't win this. Like, I'm just a nobody. What am I even doing here? And so it keeps adding to the stakes, even though these are all just production problems. And I think that's like one of the greatest problems to have is you keep having to rewrite and work things, and it just adds to the character.
Yep. So the next day, I love also to mix like, what's up with this robe you're advertising? And it's like, oh, Paulie gets $3,000 if I do this. And he's like, well, what do you get? And he's like, I get the robe. But Rocky comes out to no music. Apollo comes out to music. He's George Washington crossing the Delaware. He's saying, I'm going to win in 3. I also love Paulie's just dressed as a pimp. And then the fight starts. So some interesting things that I read. Apparently, like one of the biggest expenses on this movie was the makeup, and their wounds look really great in the end. I also read that they filmed the fight backwards, like they started with round 15, and then they just removed makeup.
Oh, that's smart.
Until they got to where kind of how we edit this thing, right? And so
exactly.
I think the fight is done in a very realistic way where it starts off and the more technical, proficient boxer is just sort of teeing Rocky up. And then he just lands a big shot because Apollo has not really trained for this. He's not really prepared for this. And he almost knocks him out. And there's one of those people who watch the movie close and like, oh, this is what would really happen. Pointed out that like if Rocky had just walked to his corner right away, he actually would have won in the first round because, they don't start the 10-second count until you get to your corner. And so he hits it, but like, he's new to this, right? He's not been on this stage. So he's like, he's normally fighting dudes named Spider Rico for $60. So
oh yeah, because Spider Rico is such far and removed from Apollo Creed.
I'm just in how good of a fighter they are.
Oh yeah.
So it then jumps all the way to the 13th and 14th round. Rocky gets knocked down. He can't keep his gloves up. Mick actually tells him to stay down. And then Adrian walks out and you think it's going to be like, oh, he sees Adrian and that like gives him the strength to get up. No.
I thought it was going to be too. I thought he sees Adrian and he gets
I rewound it because it was like, how could he see her? And he's like, no, he couldn't. He just got up.
He had this like he sees her in the back. He sees her red.
So he punches Apollo in the ribs. It cuts, and we're now in the 15th. We're about to be in the 15th round, and Duke, Apollo's coach, is like, "Hey, I'm gonna fucking call it. Your ribs are hurt." And he's like, "No, you're not." And then Rocky gets up on the other side. He's like, if you throw in the towel, I'll fucking kill you. Like, we're not stopping this fight.
Wait,
Um,
who says that?
Rocky says it to Mick. He's like, if you stop this fight, I'll kill you. Because his whole
So
goal is to make it. He doesn't care about
yeah.
anything but making it.
So what's another great thing, and I wish this was kind of established on what this was. I guess if you're into boxing, you know what this is. And I like with enough context clues, it's fine. But Rocky's eyes are so swollen from the punching that he can't see anything. So they cut his eye to, I guess, release the blood out of his socket so that
It releases the blood out of the eyelid so that he then can open his eyelid.
Right.
I used to, as a kid, thought that they cut the eyelid so that he could see through the eyelid.
I thought you'd never seen this before.
No, this is a real thing. Cutting is a real thing, so boxers and fighters can see.
Oh,
they
you're
don't,
saying in general?
Yeah, I thought they did it so that you could see through the cut in the eyelid.
No, it's just stupid little kid. The the blood that comes out of the eyelid looks like such fake red paint.
I don't know. I didn't notice it too much. Maybe it's your version you were watching. It looks worse.
I was watching it in like 4K. Actually, I did. Knowing that we were going to do this, I bought the entire Blu-ray Rocky set. I'm glad I did.
So, fight ends, and Apollo says to him in his ear, "Ain't gonna be no rematch." And Rocky says, "I don't want one," which is funny because the Rocky 2 spoiler. I think Apollo just wants a rematch the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a split decision, and then you can barely hear who wins because the movie focuses on Adrian and his love for Adrian. Because what you said, this movie is more of a love story, right? So she runs into the ring, Rocky, I love you, and then it's like, oh, no, they're gonna get married.
You have to explain to me what a split decision is and how they decided to do this.
All right, so in boxing, every round the judges score them basically 10-9. It can be in 10 is the guy who won that round. And it can be like a 10-8 if someone really gets their ass kicked. So there are 3 judges. So a split decision means all 3 judges didn't go the same way. So 2 of the judges said that Apollo won and 1 judge said Rocky won, which means Apollo wins. So that's what a split decision is versus a unanimous decision if all 3 judges said that one boxer won.
So it's majority rules, and it just so happens to be that Apollo won majority.
Yeah, and so they call it a split decision just to show you how close it was. Because I think I read that it was 8-7 for Apollo, 8-7 for Rocky, and then the last judge was 9-6 for Apollo. Which we got to investigate that 9-6 judge. I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
I guess because is eye cutting a legal thing, or you can't really do that?
I don't know anymore. I mean, they used to do it all the time, according to movies I've watched.
I just don't know because it looked like to me that Rocky had if they went another round, Rocky could have had Apollo beat because of his ribs, and he kept going for him too. After that initial rib punch, he kept going for his ribs, and that's what kept putting him out.
Yeah, I think one thing the movie does is that we don't see rounds 3 through 12. So we don't know who won.
We do see him break his nose for after the second round after that punch out, he broke his nose, and that's why Stallone looks the way he does now. But and talks the way he does now. I was actually so surprised to see such a young Stallone not really look like the way we would imagine Stallone now. Not just because he's younger, just and he talks in a better way, but. I was just kind of surprised that a lot of that has to do with his age, I guess.
Age, various pharmaceuticals he might have taken to change his body in enhanced ways.
Sure.
Yeah. Overall, I don't know. I never had I was never I need to watch the Rocky movies. I do think now I'm committed to watch them. Because I had seen in 2011, I saw the best fighting movie ever. That was Warrior.
I was gonna ask you to compare this to Warrior, but I think Warrior's just a better movie.
I mean, yeah, I think so too.
And it's not having anything to do with like how bad Rocky is. I think Rocky is a great movie. I just think the way some things are done in Warrior is just like and it's more of a fighting movie too. It's way more focused on the fighting.
Yeah, I mean this is still like a great movie, but I do think it's just the legacy of these movies is interesting. That this won Best Picture, it was the highest grossing movie of that year, but I think 2, 3, 4 are just more beloved at this point.
And have you seen Creed?
I saw Creed. I've seen Creed 1 and Creed 2.
So I've only seen Creed 1, and I watched it on an airplane.
That barely counts.
But I really liked it. I thought like I can actually barely remember it. It was so long ago. But I remember really liking it and having this like strong emotional connection with the character. But now watching Rocky, like a compare and contrast, and people saying, "Oh, Creed is the better movie." I think only because it's standing on the shoulders of the Rocky franchise. I mean, I think technically it is a better movie, but it has all this history behind Rocky. And you have similar things too, where Michael B. Jordan's going after Tessa Thompson the entire time, like he's going after Adrian. So you have that parallel love story, but it's done in a bit of a different way. And he loses too. So that's done the same way.
So some interesting things. One, this film takes place between November 25th and January 1st. So January 1st is the day of the fight. So New Year's Day. I don't know why Apollo's like, this is such an important day in American history. It's like, it's just the first day of the year. It's not, did George Washington cross the Delaware on January 1st? I don't know my history that well anymore.
But the fact that he comes out as George Washington and then Uncle Sam and then like all the bravado with the hat and the pants and everything being American flag and stuff. It's like we in America, probably because Eastern countries have a different New Year's than us, but America definitely celebrates the fuck out of New Year's Day more than like anyone else who has that day as their New Year. Like way more than Europe or South America. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would think Thanksgiving would be more of an American holiday than New Year's, but whatever.
So Stallone originally wanted Harvey Keitel for the Paulie part. Susan Sarandon auditioned, but they said she was too noticeably hot to play the role because she would then, like, the reveal wouldn't be as good.
I agree.
Cher was considered for the role of Adrian, which I think would have worked. But then also, again, like, I don't think you can hide how hot Cher was back then.
And Cher has very distinguishable features that would be harder to like hide behind glasses and hair.
Yep. Stallone is one of 2 people to have been the sole writer of an original screenplay, also star in it, and be nominated for Oscars for both the writing and the movie. The other person is Charlie Chaplin for The Great Dictator. So I always think of those two
great.
Sort of synonymously, like in the same sentence. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rocky's great. I don't think you needed to listen to this to know that. And if you haven't seen it, one, you shouldn't have listened to this first. Although, like that, it's funny when we were talking about this before I finished it. I was like, I already know how it ends. Like, I know that he loses the fight, but he morally wins by being able to have, survived and like putting up a good fight. So, but Rocky's great, and it's going to spawn me watching the rest of them. So, kudos for that.
Yeah. And thanks for listening to us talking about Rocky, even though you've probably don't need to. We appreciate it. And Merry Christmas.
Thanks for listening to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David and Alon, and we finally watched
Rocky.
Dun 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 dun.